Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum class. Welcome to English grade 8 video lessons. Students, today we will talk about poetic devices, and this is our lecture number 2 from our unit number 10, which is a poem called Mother Earth Weeps. Now, in a poem, we can find so many different elements, devices that are used to make up this poem. And we need to understand them so that we can also create our own poems whenever we want to. So let's get straight into our students' learning outcome. Understand and utilize similes, metaphors, personification, imagery scheme, alliteration, hyperbole, oxymoron, mood, meter, rhyme, assonance, and consonants given in the text. And the text is usually a poem which we are studying. Now, in this lecture, students, we are going to talk about personification, imagery, and we are going to talk about oxymoron, meter, and all these different highlighted poetic devices. Now, let's introduce you with the vertical linkage. And for the brainstorming session today, students, let's see what are poetic devices. What do you think they are? They are some tools, some tricks or techniques that the writers or the poets use. So, poetic devices are related to poetry, and they are tools that poets use to enhance the meaning, sound, and overall impact of their poems. Now, there are different purposes for using these poetic devices. First of all, we elaborate and enhance the meaning of the words and also the message of the poem. Then we know that poetry is made up of rhythm and different sounds. So poetic devices help the poet with sound and also with other things so that they can make the powerful poems. These devices help create rhythm, evoke emotions, and add depth to the language. So another thing that we can achieve is rhythm, a flow, a pattern that we see in a poem which makes it interesting and also easy to memorize. Now, let's see, here are all these poetic devices mentioned over here, and let's talk about oxymoron first. So, what is oxymoron? An oxymoron is a figure of speech containing words that seem to contradict each other, words that are opposite to each other, but they are used together to create a flow and a very good effect. Sometimes they are used to create a little bit of drama for the reader. Sometimes they are used to make a person stop and think, whether that is to laugh or to wonder. So, oxymorons are very much important to create a dramatic effect. Examples are bittersweet. We have a bittersweet relationship. Bitter and sweet, they are contradictory words, they are opposite to each other, but they are working together to create a very good effect. Cruel kindness, alone together, climb down. When we are talking about climbing, it is usually going up, but down is the word for the downward location. So, climb down can also be a humorous thing to say. It also can create drama and a very good effect. So, now students, can you come up with your examples where you can use oxymorons? All right. Here, you can see that a snowman is on fire. Isn't this Oxymoronic, a snowman is burning on fire. Or somebody who is happy and sad at the same time. Or if we say this is an imperfect perfection, and these are totally opposite to each other. So we can use such a pair of words that are contradictory to create a very interesting and good effect on the listener or the reader. Now here, students, you have to match these two columns together to make oxymorons. And notice and remember that these words should be opposite and contradictory to each other. Now, when we are talking about poems, we know that there is a meter in a poem. And the meter is a pattern of stressed and unstressed syllables in poetry. It gives rhythm to poetry. You know that a syllable is the division of units in a word. Now, these units can be stressed, some can be stressed and some can be unstressed. So, stressed and unstressed is a pattern which we call a meter. Now, what does it do, dear students? It gives rhythm to poetry. It gives a musicality to the poem which makes it interesting for children, for kids to sing and to. These highlighted words are the stressed words in our poem. The earth. Look at the rivers, streams, seas, and lakes. Black with dirt, waste without seas. Mountains are denuded, forests have seldom trees. So the highlighted words should be stressed upon. You have to say it loudly. So this is how you understand that there is a meter. For example, if there is a word intelligent, you need to see that which part, which syllable is to be stressed upon and which is not to be stressed upon. So if you say it accordingly and read a poem, then you can read the poem as it should be read and in a very beautiful way. And this thing is what we call a meter. Here you can look at this example. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Now, here we have two syllables which make 1 meter. Second meter, third, fourth, and fifth. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 meters, which we call pentameter. So we can say that the poem is written in iambic, it is written in pentameter with 5 meters in each line, in each verse. So this is how we understand it. And when we are going to read it, we have to read it just like the pattern of meter, which contains syllables of stressed and unstressed nature. Now, students, for your activity, you are going to mark the meters in the last stanza of the poem that you have in your book. You can use a dictionary to help you identify the stressed and unstressed syllables in the poem. Since we are going to work with stressed and unstressed syllables, you are going to consult the dictionary, see which syllable is stressed and which is not, and then you can mark the last stanza according to the meter. Next one, we have our personification. We know that it is a figure of speech that gives human characteristics to non-human things. When we are giving human qualities to non-human things, we are doing personification. For example, Mother Earth weeps for our attention. Now, in this line, weeping is for humans, not for the earth. But if we say Mother Earth weeps, then the line personifies Mother Earth by attributing human-like emotions, which is weeping. to cry, to weep. So when we are giving such qualities to objects like the chair cried, the sun laughed, this is all about personification. We are personifying, giving qualities of a person to inanimate or non-living objects. Here are some more examples. Now, when we are talking about imagery, what comes in your mind? Images, pictures. It means that there would be a line, if you read it, then some pictures should emerge in your mind. And in this way, we can say that the poet or the writer used imagery because it invoked a picture in the mind of the reader. So an imagery is a kind of expression in which vivid or very clear mental images are described. The word imagery is associated with imaginary pictures that we draw in our minds by the use of particular words that create visual representation of ideas. For example, the imagery of rivers, streams, seas, and lakes being black with dirt. Now, if you listen to this word, black with dirt, something comes in your mind. It creates a visual representation of the polluted water bodies. So when you imagine such scenario, such situation, and the words like black and dirt and pollution, so you see that you can actually visualize it. So this is the purpose of writing in imagery. Here are some examples. The old book had. So if you read this sentence, what comes in your mind? The old book had water spots across its spine. Some of the pages yellowed. You can imagine that there is a book with water spots. The spine of the book is broken, or it had water spots and the pages are yellow. So you can visualize a book like that. The majestic bird sat a course unknown and swiftly away did fly. Now, in this way, you can picturize it and you can say that the use of imagery is done over here. This is your activity to do by pausing the video. Now, at this point of the lecture, you have to identify the use of imagery and personification in the poem Mother Earth Weeps. Now, you have to write 10 pairs of oxymorons in your notebook and highlight the use of imagery as well in the poem. This is your simulation link for additional and extensive information. A worksheet is attached and all these resources are available for you, dear students. You can access them in the description of the video. Thank you for listening. I hope that now we are very much aware of the learning outcome. We studied oxymoron, personification, imagery, and we also studied that how they are going to be used in a poem. You're going to identify these poetic devices, take up this poem of the book or any other poem, and then try to find out all these poetic devices. See you in the next video lesson. Allah Hafiz.